Hello, this is the Game Dev Diary of the 13th of February 2023. Let's see what's going on in Devland. We'll be talking about the Coven of Cards final project. And yeah, we're continuing with the collaboration with the art students. I am the person that's going to be mainly communicating with them, giving them tasks and whatnot. So to give them a sort of idea of what we're looking for, I made a few simple sketches of like our scenes, stuff that might occur in our game. Our artists, given that they have their own assignments and things to be doing at this time, opted to work on key art instead of 3D modeling and making scenes and environments and whatnot. So I gave a few ideas of what sort of key art scenes we would be looking for, with the main goal of that being to see our game in a slightly different perspective. We sort of took inspiration from, I think it was Darkest Dungeon. The start of our game has a bunch of like bunch of art that they pan through, which is not exactly how the game looks, but it captures the style and the emotion of it. Working in the scene, I converted the sort of bedroom at the top into a stable, since some research indicated that these time periods it wouldn't be unusual to have animals inside the houses to make it easier to feed and shelter them. I have packaged up all of my prefabs, all of the stuff that I've been working on, into prefabs, so to make it easier for the development pipeline. So Mateus can take, say, the cauldron and just completely just click and drag it and work on the prefab, and then that will change the prefab inside the house. Or if he wants to place the house somewhere in his white room to test if something would work, he can do that easily. I'm running a tight ship with a hierarchy. Everything has to be organized very nicely, so the entire scene of this house is collapsed into these three objects: admin, house, and forest, which can be enabled and disabled as needed. And as we are moving outside of the house individually to the forest, I had to make a sort of house, the outside facade of the house, and that's what we see at the bottom right. Spells are another thing I've been working on. The spells in our game come from the Sabbath card game, in which you capture the major arcana of the tarot cards, which represent the spells. So for example, the High Priestess, if you capture that card, that will represent one card. We have some simple spells already, which will be used for the demo, but as we wish to take this game forward, we also wish to have more complex and thematically appropriate spells. So what I did here is I took every single tarot card or major arcana card and I made a spell for it, including the reverse of these cards, since the upside down version of the cards also have different meanings, so they'll have slightly different variants of spells, which I wanted to give a slight drawback in some capacity. So for example, at the bottom here we see the Tower card. The Tower card in its essence is a very negative card, or has a lot of those connotations. It's about chaos and disaster and change. So the tower cards have a lot of effects that can damage the player, but in order to make it also feel like a card that the player wants to use, it has to be strong to sort of create a double-edged sword that the player can make use of. The Temperance card is a card that will be like my example card that I'll explain. It's a card that had to encapsulate the concepts of balance, harmony, and patience. So I made it into a orbital like shielding spell, with the sort of idea that 3 orbiting projectiles would encapsulate that concept of balance. And harmony, it will protect you, it will keep enemies at a distance. But the reverse temperance, which signifies imbalance, extremes, addiction, and self-healing, it is changed such that you only get 1 orbiting projectile, but every time it hits something, you gain another one, and the orbitals spin faster in a larger orbit radius. And once you get too many of them, they'll explode, and that will hurt the player and enemies. And also the orbitals will heal the player. So it creates another double-edged sword where you can get health back from this, but it can explode and hurt you, which you don't want. And that perfectly encapsulates excess and imbalance. Yeah, that's all I've been working on for now. I'm looking to join, for my professional project, I'm looking to join a game jam with a stranger on the JameGam server, which is starting on 14th. So yeah, that's been this fortnight's update. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.